First and 10 news stories from the week that was and will be from around the NFL. Here we go. Number one, Kyle Shanahan this week blamed the 49ers' recent injuries. Bosa, Solomon Thomas, Jimmy G, Raheem Mostert on the turf at MetLife Stadium. They have to go back there this week and play the Giants. The league inspects the turf before every game. The Steelers and Giants played on it the week before. Independent inspectors inspected it 20 times after it was installed this summer. Nobody had any issue with it. Connor, Shanahan being a little bit of a bitch here, or is there some merit?
No, he's being a lot of bit of a bitch. There's no merit to this. The real culprit truly is having a terrible offseason, one where there's no preseason games and limited hitting, limited full speed practice. It's just it's collateral damage, really. So blaming the turf is a little bit ludicrous.
I'd like to point out that the 49ers had a shit ton of injuries before this game, too. So maybe it's something in-house with them. Moving on.
Erroneous.
ESPN reported on Wednesday today that Tyrod Taylor, this is an insane story, missed Sunday's game because the team doctor accidentally punctured his lung while giving him an injection of a painkiller for his cracked rib. So Tyrod's out indefinitely now because he has a punctured lung. And I think we'll talk about Tyrod and Justin Herbert a little bit later, but what the fuck is going on here? Teddy, it may turn out that Justin Herbert is an all-pro and this change was going to happen. But this just seems like the Chargers. Is there any franchise that's just more bizarrely hexed than the Chargers in your mind?
The Jets
come
to mind. The Chargers are more bizarre because they're competitive. And then it's like the flukiest things. Like it's surprising that they didn't have the double doink situation. I feel it for Tyrod. He's got a star-crossed career that just has had so much promise and shown up. And it felt like the Tyrod Taylor redemption tour a little bit after the Baker Mayfield thing. And this is just the worst way for it to happen. It was totally out of his control.
Just when he has a coach backing him up in Anthony Lynn,
right.
the team doctor punctures his lung. Moving on, the Giants have signed Devonta Freeman in the wake of losing Saquon Barkley for the year. They also have Deion Lewis and Wayne Gallman on the roster who have been productive other places in years past. And Freeman himself hasn't been a world beater the last few years in Atlanta. Regardless, it's exciting to speculate on this pairing. Mike, what are your expectations for Devonta Freeman?
Devonta Freeman, knowing him personally, not personally, but as a Falcons fan.
Call him right now.
Yeah.
Personally.
Devonta? Oh, okay. You haven't been to training camp? Oh, okay. Yeah, he's not in football shape. Okay, and football shape is different than being in shape. Like, the conditioning is not going to be there. So, and Devonta hasn't been effective over the last 3 seasons, let's be honest. And he's coming into the season late, learning a new offense, everything like that. The expectation should be so low for Devonta Freeman. He just hasn't done much. He lost his shape after the injuries, which is what separated him from a lot of other running backs. And he just hasn't been able to separate from the tackles. He gets hit, and then he can't break it. And that's going to be a problem for the Giants, who have a terrible offensive line. So he's going to get hit in the backfield a lot, just like he was last year with the Falcons.
I think you're right. None of that's going to stop any Giants fans from speculating wildly about the success of this. Moving on, Eagles coach Doug Pederson got feisty with a reporter this week when the reporter asked why Carson Wentz is struggling. Doug Pederson said, "Have you played quarterback in the NFL?" Wentz and the Eagles are off to a really rough start. Wentz has thrown the most INTs of any quarterback and is ahead of only Kirk Cousins of the 0-2 Vikings in quarterback rating. Connor, this all begs the question. Who are you more surprised to see struggle so far this year, Kirk Cousins or Carson Wentz?
Carson Wentz, by far. I mean, I wasn't sold on the Eagles' offensive line, and then obviously injuries took hold, and I'm less sold on the Eagles' offensive line, so I think that's problematic. But I don't ever have high expectations for Kirk Cousins. So I think that the pairing of Doug Pederson and Carson Wentz has been pretty fruitful for the Eagles. So I'm kind of surprised or more surprised to see him struggle. Obviously, wide receiver concerns were there. Does he have enough weapons? But I don't really think that's been the issue. I haven't watched enough of the Eagles, but I'm definitely more concerned with Wentz, or more surprised, I should say.
Mm-hmm. Falcons owner Arthur Blank was asked about the onside kick this week that ultimately gave the win to the Cowboys. Blank said that we can react with emotion, i.e., fire Dan Quinn, or we can figure out how to fix it, i.e., fire Dan Quinn. Maybe depends on who you're asking. Things haven't been right for Atlanta since they lost the Super Bowl. Sometimes coaches just get into these ruts, and they've given up 80 points in 2 games. So Mike certainly has some thoughts about this, but I'm very curious because nobody else is going to get to weigh in on this. Teddy, do you think the Falcons need a culture change, or do you think that they can right the ship with the guys they have right now?
I would like to start by saying I'm sitting around 2:30 in the afternoon on Sunday, and I'm about to send a message to the group being like, "Wow, Falcons making a statement early." Like this is because it looked like a whomping on is with 2-0-1 teams that both really sort of wanted to win, and the Cowboys are formidable. They should be, and they were holding their offense in check. And I didn't realize they lost until I listened to the recap podcast because, like, I was out of town, so I only got to watch the early games, and like I wasn't really checking in all that much. I just assumed I didn't think I would have to look at that score again. And the fact that there was that week, and there was last week where they're playing catch up the whole time. And yes, Matt Ryan's putting up incredible stats and an incredible passing attack. But yeah, there needs to be some sort of culture change. And I don't know what you do to make it happen besides the head coach. I don't want to like put anyone's butt on the hot seat or like take anyone's job, like, but yeah, what do you do? It's too much torture.
I'm sure we'll hear it from Mike later.
Thanks for the pass on that, by the way, because I was about to start crying.
Guys,
another quarterback that's struggling is Teddy Bridgewater. He has not been great. 2 touchdowns and 4 turnovers through 2 games. A horrendous one last week on a screen pass where he just overthrew Christian McCaffrey by like 10 feet or 10 yards. The O-line hasn't been great, and now Christian McCaffrey is injured. So we look at New England, and there's Cam Newton, playing pretty well. And you look at the contract that the Panthers gave Teddy Bridgewater, 3 years, $63 million, which is insane. Mike, after seeing Newton's success in New England, should the Panthers be regretting the contract that they gave to Teddy Bridgewater, or is it too soon to say?
I don't think so, because 3 years, $63 million, $21 million is a pretty good bargain for an above-average quarterback. Now, he's not playing up to that dollar amount, but we go back to it. There's no preseason, weird off-season. Teddy Bridgewater is a good, very accurate quarterback, and he's learning a very complex spread system with, not the best surrounding cast. Let's be honest. His offensive line, terrible. Tight end, garbage. DJ Moore, he has not proven to me that he is a number 1 wide receiver. Robbie Anderson is way more impressive than DJ Moore is at wide receiver, and he's the number 2. And by the way, Christian McCaffrey is out. So I can't imagine Teddy Bridgewater looking much better than he does right now. Panthers, and we've talked about this. I know I've talked about this. They only drafted defensive players in the draft in May or April, April. That offense is going to struggle. They're about 2 to 3 years away from actually being competitive.
Through 2 weeks, Aaron Jones of the Packers is fantasy's top running back in PPR leagues, and Calvin Ridley is the top wide receiver. That said, Aaron Jones was the 14th running back taken in most leagues, and Calvin Ridley was the 18th wide receiver taken. Obviously, we can't predict how they're going to finish, but Connor, you're an Aaron Jones fantasy owner. Which is the more surprising start to you? Is it Ridley or Jones, and who's more likely to keep it up?
I guess I'll say Ridley's the more surprising start, just because I feel that Julio Jones commands the lion's share of touches in that offense. But I'm not surprised by Aaron Jones. Kind of why I kept him. You know what I mean? In our league. Hello. But yeah, no, I think the future definitely looks bright for the Green Bay Packers running game. And I think he'll be able to keep this up. The Falcons, I don't know. I feel like they might be passing the ball quite a bit. So I guess Calvin Ridley can also keep up the production with that being said. So.
All right, 15 seconds left and 3 questions. So we're going to motor through
Got
these.
it, yep.
Rob Gronkowski has 2 catches in 2 games. Bruce Arians said this week, we brought him in to play tight end. If that means no catches, it means no catches. Ted,
Yeah.
That's a non-quote, by the way. Ted, have we seen the best of Gronk?
Not the best, but I think that this is par for the course.
Okay. CeeDee Lamb is leading the rookie wide receiver pack. We have talked a lot about rookie wide receivers on this show and how they can't be successful. After CeeDee Lamb is Chase Claypool and Laviska Shenault, but they are far and away from CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's on pace for 88 catches and 1,300 yards. Mike, have you seen enough from Lamb that he could be one of these rookie breakouts? Can he keep it up?
I think he can, but just because of the situation that he's in, I would like to see him add a little bit more size, because when you see him stacked against some of these other wide receivers and NFL corners, he's a pretty scrawny looking dude, and he may not hold up if he gets whacked going across the middle.
Mm-hmm. Last question. The NFL has now played 2 weeks with 0 positive COVID-19 tests to everybody. Are we going to be able to pull this off? How much longer can we go with no positive tests?
As long as we want, baby.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
But they have it pretty well under control, it seems.